My phone buzzed against my hand while I was driving, and for a moment, I let it ring. When I finally answered, the man on the line cleared his throat before speaking, as if he were stepping onto thin ice. He told me there was something I needed to see at the house immediately. He asked me to bring my parents. He asked me to bring my sister. His voice stayed calm, but the pause between his words told me everything. I pulled over to the side of the road, the world tilting as if it had lost its balance. I had always known that house carried secrets. I just never imagined they had been itemized. When I arrived, the air inside felt heavy, unmoving. Floorboards had been lifted. A section of walls stood torn open, revealing a space that was never meant to be there. My parents stood rigid behind me, hands folded too tightly. My sister stared at the ground. In that instant, years rearranged themselves in my mind with brutal clarity. This was the moment I stopped pretending. This was where the truth finally caught up with the people who thought they were untouchable. The damage hadn't started loudly. It began long before, in a quiet room, with a pen scratching paper and promises spoken too casually. My husband, Daniel, had always known how to sound convincing. We married young, back when we believed warmth in a voice meant honesty in a heart. He remembered birthdays, fixed small things around the house, charmed my parents into trusting him like family. I never questioned how easily everything fell into place. Then the cracks appeared. Nights that ran too late. His phone always face down. Expenses that didn't match our life. When I found the first message, I didn't cry. I saved it. When I uncovered the second secret, I didn't confront him. I studied it. Pain demands noise. Strategy prefers quiet. The divorce became a public performance.
He wept.
I stayed composed. He told anyone who would listen that I was distant, unfeeling. I didn't correct him. While everyone focused on the fallout, I paid attention to the pattern. Renovating my grandparents' old house was supposed to be a fresh start. It was a solid place, full of stubborn warmth and memories that felt safe. I hired contractors to open it up, to bring in light. Instead, they uncovered evidence. Hidden compartments held records, altered deeds, envelopes stuffed with transactions going back years. My grandfather's name forged again and again. My grandmother's jewelry listed, priced, sold. And threaded through all of it were two familiar names, Daniel's and my sister Lila's. I didn't look at her then. I didn't have to. I could feel the truth pressing in on her from all sides. I didn't confront anyone. I thanked the contractor and asked him to close the space back up. I drove my family home. I smiled through dinner. Planning takes time, and I had learned to be patient. I reconstructed everything. The renovations they insisted on managing. Daniel's eagerness to help with finances. The boxes he pushed to store at the house. The way Lila had involved herself in our grandparents' lives, memorizing habits, schedules, weaknesses. What looked like care had been cover. I moved carefully. I found a lawyer who listened without interruption. I hired an accountant who loved unraveling knots. I transferred nothing, warned no one. I documented every detail. Then quietly I acted. Accounts tied to forged signatures were frozen. A civil case was filed with precise dates and names. Tax authorities were notified without drama. Lila's employer discovered her conflict of interest on their own. Daniel's new job stalled when questions surfaced that couldn't be smoothed over. None of it was rushed. Timing mattered. Revenge wasn't anger. It was arrangement. The final meeting happened back in the house. Same dust, same repaired wall. I invited them under the excuse of closure. Daniel arrived confident, already prepared to play the injured party. Lila hovered behind him, reduced to silence. I spoke once. I told them I knew. That was all it took. I laid the documents on the table, one by one, and watched realization spread across Daniel's face. I watched my sister finally meet my eyes.
He tried to speak.
I stopped him with a gesture and slid the stamped filings forward. That was when he understood, not that he had been exposed, but that he was no longer in control. The roles had shifted. The silence did what shouting never could. Now the house feels lighter. The hidden space is gone. Sun reaches places it never did before. I keep the records locked away, not as trophies, but as evidence of clarity. I don't long for him. I don't rage at her. I respect the version of myself who waited, who counted, who acted once and finished it. Justice doesn't arrive loudly. It steps forward when the wall comes down and the truth finally stands in the open.